I ride fixed gear mainly because I've been cheated all my life into thinking that freewheel bikes are normal bikes, when they're in fact not. I've ridden freewheel bikes, well, everyone has their whole life mainly, and you ride it just because it's, you know, what it is. You get on with it and do it. But the minute you get the hang of and ride a fixed gear bike, it's like you've been awakened, kind of thing, because you're directly linked to the bike. It's like running. What is a fixed gear bike? I've been over it so many times.
You know, there's a lot of people who at first resist or think, oh, you know, it's too cool, I don't want to do it. But I think once they sit on a fixed gear and ride it and they actually feel, it's really an experience you can't really describe.
On a fixed gear bike you can go faster and you've got more control.
You can ride it as a normal bike, you know, commute on it, get all around town, and you can do tricks.
It's like running to make yourself not run into a brick wall. You look further ahead, you look at what you're doing, so you ride with more awareness.
It's just this pure one gear, there's no fuss about changing gears or, you know, constant maintenance, brakes, all that stuff, it's all gone.
We're not just riders, we're more than that. We're trying to push, we're behind the scenes and trying to push everything else at the same time. It's quite hard to come from nothing and suddenly design yourself. I don't know what we was going to do. Design something for fixed gear bikes. There was no demand for it. It was just stuff we wanted to do.
There's not many people doing it at the time. It's just mostly couriers. So I started doing that, and whatever bike I'm on, I like to do tricks on. So I started doing tricks on my fixed gear bike as well.
There was probably the group of us. In the beginning, there was because Ted worked in a bike shop at the time, so I was hanging around with him, and everyone at the shop was slowly building up fixed gear bikes and that. It's just a group of creative people, don't know why, that happened to. I think it's probably the aesthetic of the bike.
It's the direct link between your legs and the bike or the wheels, so it's absolutely pure. There's nothing between your body and the speed and the controls.
Because it's stripped down, it's like a really good balance of form and function. If you take anything away, it doesn't really work. If you add anything on, it just looks like it shouldn't be there.
And I suppose the other beauty of fixed gear is every single bike is absolutely unique. So you choose a different colour combination, different parts, because that's part of the culture, that's one of the core things.
decided to move out of our suburban little house because there was no lounge. There was like a workshop for fixed gear bikes and a skateboard ramp in the back and a 20-foot trampoline. I was on Brick Lane and some guy was selling these nice racing bikes, and it was this old guy, and he was like, yeah, I've got loads of bikes, blah blah blah, just down the road here. And then he had this warehouse next door that was going for rent, so we made a decision and just moved in there.
Made my first frame. Philip raised it up first time and it came out pretty good. I was just lucky. Could have messed up, but came out pretty good. I was very pleased with it. And that was the Vans bike.
Yeah, it's just our like interpretation of what we think, you know, how a trick bike should be. And then the very first month after we built, we had the MASH premiere in there, and we basically invited every single person we could who was in the scene, and we was quite surprised that like 250 people turned up in our little warehouse. Then we needed to move out of there because Ted didn't have enough room to have a workshop.
I thought if we got that opportunity, I've got to build my own frame. So I had to do that, and yeah, it worked real good. And since then, I've just worked really hard, trying to keep that going, build more frames. I knew from that moment I'll be, you know, I will be building frames for a while. Still, I'm going to start, that's my starting of learning to build frames.
So we moved into the next warehouse, and that's when we met the guys from 14 Bike Co. That's when we decided that we really need to, you know, as we've got to pay for our rent now, we didn't have a cheap warehouse or anything. We had to step up the game and try to do what we love and earn a little bit of money out of it.
This is an emergency. This is an emergency. I see the tax man taking, landlords waiting, and it looks like it's gonna be long. I was caught at the bottom of the bottle last night. Thought I'd have it all, thought I'd fight. I should have stepped to the side, cause when I came in I got dropped with a ride. Down to the concrete stack. There goes my dodgy back. I can't see, let alone hear that. I'm bringing wonky back. So I stumbled to the yard, thinking my battle scar. This ain't usually hard, I look for the key back into the bar. I used to have charm, now I got a beat up face and a broken arm. Somebody ring the alarm.
I think the future of fixed gear, a lot of it is going into tricks. The trick side of it is kind of really big.
I see the tax man taking, landlords waiting, and it looks like it's gonna be long. This is an emergency.
There's a good mix of characters. You've got Ted, he's often drunk, but he's really good when he rides. Even when he is drunk, he can still ride and just pull off amazing stuff. And he kind of seems to be the brains. He's a bit quieter sometimes, but he always knows what's going on, and he's got a lot of stuff for it. So he's done well. And then Odge is pretty cool. He always finds good spots to ride. Oscar's a bit of a crazy one. He's always pretty hyper, but he's good to ride with. Always wants to ride. It doesn't stop. So he's good to ride with. I like riding with Oscar. It's funny.
You know, every time someone says to us, oh yeah, you can't ride that track bike on the road, that should be on the track, or you shouldn't be riding that bike to do tricks when you should be riding a BMX or whatever. It's just like, fuck you, whatever. you can do whatever you want.
Every time I see man, I crack up, bullets get slapped up, two for your back. I call it war. That's the nature of it. Test the fire, I get smacked up, physically clapped up, cool for your back. I call it war. This is a special brand. Similarly, you headed straight for the heavy like a metal band. And I settle, man. Stay sat in the seat as I buy the beat. I'm about to meet when this makes track of the week. You hear my name back on the street. Yeah, Jay's cold. I heard him on radio. The song was 2 days old. Fresh to death when I blessed the section. Or left the mess and interest the press. That's virus. Past finders, past timeless. That's primeless. It's minus. Any one of us to kill it and I drill it in. If the beat's got space, we're gonna fill it in. And I can't wait to drop it. Cause that's the nature of it. Back up. Every time I see men, I crack up. Brothers get slapped up, two for your back. I call it war. Cause that's the nature of it. Back up. There's the vibe, I get smacked up. Physically clapped up, cool for your back. I call it war. Back up. Every time I see men, I crack up. Brothers get slapped up, two for your back. I call it war. Cause that's the nature of it. Back up. There's the vibe, I get smacked up. Physically clapped up, cool for your back. I call it war.
The first time we went to Paris, it was because this French filming company called Arte, they had came over and they'd filmed us, and we didn't know what Arte was. We thought it was just a bunch of people filming and blah blah blah, but apparently this is like a really big cultural program that goes out every Friday night or something on national French TV.
Andy et Hodgie sont accros au fixed gear depuis 2 ans. Tous les jours, ils slaloment comme des malades dans les rues de Londres.
When we went over there, it was like we were famous or something. It was crazy. We showed up to this spot that they go to like once every Thursday, and there was like 40 or 50 people there. It was just word of mouth, and it travelled around because they knew that the guys from London who were on Arte were in town, and all the guys in Paris didn't have trick bikes. They had just fixed gear bikes for riding on the road, and we were in the middle of this meeting place, and we were dragging pallets in the middle, and Ted and Tom were there doing BMX tricks and stuff, and no one could believe it.
Touring with the guys is awesome, so much fun. We just have the best time. We recently went to Frankfurt.
There's guys from Germany and all over Europe coming to the trade show to see what's happening with us and the scene and stuff. So we knew then that we were doing stuff that nobody else really was doing and trying to push it and progress it. Fix magazine came about through, I suppose I'd always had an idea about doing a zine type thing, like a printed version of Fixed Gear London, really. We went to try and, tour publishers with the idea, and it was just not what we wanted to do. We'd figured it would be, they'd want us to do it a standard format. They would want to do it on some cheap, crappy paper. They'd want fashion shoots in there and how to do things and all this. And all we wanted was like basically a skateboard magazine for fixed gear bikes. But we wanted amazing pictures and really good stories and nothing more than that, really.
My first experience was a Fixed Magazine 1, and I rocked up and I didn't hear it, but my friend told me about it. So he was like, oh yeah, come along. I came along and there was just a sick magazine with Ted in. And I saw him just doing going over shit, doing oververt. I was like, oh my God, I never knew. I just went down the street. I just thought it was just about going fast. So I was like, oh, sick, this is rad. I could do track stands. So they had a track stand competition, and I won that. And then Andy was like, "Yo, come ride with us." I was so stoked because I'd heard about Fixed Gear London. I went on the internet site. And I was like, "Oh, who are these sick guys?" Like, then I was riding with them, so I was like, "Yeah!" And then Andy was like, "Would you want to be a part of Fixed Gear London?" I was like, "Sick!" Like, my dream came true. I was so stoked.
When riding on the streets, I guess the most important thing for any kind of bike rider is to just be super vigilant and aware of what's going on. Don't go up the left-hand side of a massive lorry at a junction because they can't see you and they'll turn into you. You know, I think at least 8 people died that very way last year in London. I think they need to have some sort of campaign to make people more aware of that, because the cycle lanes in London, they basically spit you out right in the worst place, right in the lorry's blind spot. And, you know, people wrongly think that they're in a safe place because they've just come out of a cycle lane, when in fact it's like a really bad place to be.
There's this pure beauty of just one gear, no brakes, sort of between the body and the vehicle or the bike, but then also about the customization and the individual designs of fixed gears. So I think, I mean, it's hard to say, but I don't see any of these two elements or any of the elements really dying out. I suppose it's just going to be a natural progression.
And right now we're trying, you know, Fixed Gear London, we've got a bunch of riders that do tricks and that can, well, we've got riders in the team that can do everything. So we're prepared, whatever comes along.
And then also, you know, don't forget about all the young kids sort of growing into this fixed gear scene now. So I suppose they would take it to a different level, but what it might be, I have no idea. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
In the future, I guess the fixed gear scene is going to continue in the way it's already going. You know, I think people are going to specialise more.
I can see right away that fixed gear freestyle is just going to go crazy. There's a guy just landed a backflip, and a couple of guys who can do tail whips on the flat, which 1 year ago, when Ted did the first bunny hop bar spin on the flat, everyone thought that was impossible.
As long as people want to do it and people are stoked and excited on it and want to go out and do it, then it will have a very big future.
I don't think there'll be one big boom where everyone's like, wow, fixed gear. I think it's just going to keep picking up slowly and slowly and slowly, and before you know it, it's going to be everywhere.